Hello, my name is David Brett. I'm the editor of the New Westminster Times. I'm coming to you today from downtown Toronto, where the New Westminster Times is covering the annual Prospectors and Developers Association convention, the largest mining conference in Canada, if not the world. And we're going to bring you some news and updates from this world of mining, in particular as it relates and impacts British Columbia and First Nations issues, which are dominating this conference. But first, let's talk a little bit about some bombshell news that came out several days ago that it seems was quite under the radar. And it has to do with an agreement that was announced between Canada and the Musqueam First Nation concerning areas around Vancouver itself. And there's been a bit of a furor over this news because it's very difficult to understand what the news release meant. And let's dissect that for a minute. The news release stated the headline was Musqueam and Canada sign historic agreements recognizing rights, stewardship, and fisheries. Now, once you delve into the news release, the details of what they're actually talking about become somewhat vague, but they do talk about title and control. However, the news release is rather vaguely worded because it says the word title and it uses the words within their traditional territory. But of course, that could mean a very small area within, or it could mean the whole area. What exactly do they mean if they're talking about title and saying that they're going to recognize title? Wouldn't it be nice if they said where they're going to recognize title? That was completely ignored. They're talking about collaborative working groups, bilateral working groups. They're talking about some fairly fuzzy concepts. So it seems that various news outlets are trying to get a hold of the Canada Indigenous relations folks. I went to the Government of Canada booth here at the conference. I got a huge booth, and they pointed me to the Canada Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs booth, and those folks didn't have any answers because they only dealt with none of it. And so nobody at the big Canada booth had any answers. And you know what? They didn't even know that the news is out. That I was the first they'd heard of it was me asking the question. So I then placed a call to the department in Ottawa, and I got voicemail, and of course it says here's the voicemail box, but guess what? The mailbox is full. So you can't even leave a message to ask them a question. So we're going to be chasing this down this week to try to get some more clarity on what this means. My own read of this news release is that it is not what it is being purported to be, this assertion of Aboriginal title over any specific area or a large area, because the maps that are circulating include Musqueam lands, Kwantlen lands, the lands of the Coquitlam, a huge area, so that can't possibly be a quote-unquote Aboriginal title assertion. So we'll cover that and follow that as the week goes on. We're here for several days. But now to the matter of the conference itself. The opening ceremonies were this morning, and it was announced that this is the biggest PDAC of all time. There's more booths, there's more trade show displays, there's more exhibitors. It's unknown how many delegates will attend, but typically it's around 25 to 30 or more thousand delegates come from all over the world. There's delegations from Namibia, from Australia, from Chile, from Peru. They're all coming from all over. So the PDAC is Canada's world stage in the world of mining. So here's a big question, and perhaps this is the biggest news coming out of the conference so far. Where is Prime Minister Mark Carney. Why is he not here? The opening ceremonies were presided over a parliamentary secretary to the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Claude Gay, and he provided some remarks. But the pitter-patter coming out of Ottawa and Carney is that critical minerals in Canada's mining game is our elbows up strategy to put the boots to Trump and somehow gain this dramatic competitive advantage for Canada in the face of a hostile trading partner south of the border. Well, you would think that as the world assembles in Toronto here to talk about mining, and the world is looking to Canada for leadership, that the Prime Minister would be here. So where is he? I heard one person say he was planning on being here, but then so he's in India. So that is a big deal. Apparently there is the Minister of Natural Resources will be around tomorrow to do some inconsequential things. There might be a significant announcement on Tuesday. So another anomaly that we talked about with respect to the other mining conference in Canada, the AMEBC Roundup we talked about, which was in Vancouver at the end of January, is the government officials, when they take to the podium to talk about mining, it's wall-to-wall, quote-unquote, critical minerals. Now, and the mention of precious metals is completely excluded. It's omitted. So even though most of the mines in Canada are gold mines, and we have a gold price that's running away to all-time highs, and the gold market is driving a lot of the investment into the Canadian mining sector, it's almost taboo for anyone from the government of Canada or government of anywhere to talk about gold. Well, as we talked about before, the reason is that it's a form of greenwashing, if you will, to say that, well, the mining business is now saving the planet through the electrification and the sustainable economy, and all of the ways in which we're going to rid ourselves of fossil fuels through electrifying the grid, and so we need all this copper. All of that's very true. And the prices of these critical minerals is going up. So it's very accurate to say that critical minerals are very much in focus here. But why the fear of talking about gold? Because it doesn't fit the narrative that the environmental activists want. And the environmental activists are joined at the hip with the Indigenous communities to style themselves as the heroes of the environment, that we're going to do responsible, sustainable mining. And gold just doesn't fit in with that, because it seems like, oh, well, it's all about the money when it comes to gold. Well, isn't that what we need here in Canada? Don't we need revenue? Don't we need jobs? So anyway, that is a bit of an anomaly that seems to be very common here. So we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about it as the week goes on. And we're going to... Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention. I've been... In prior videos from the Roundup, I talked a lot about the mineral claim staking system. And this is kind of an assault on the mining industry that is largely coming from Indigenous activism, looking to have prior consultation before anyone could stake a mineral claim. And this has thrown a monkey wrench into the BC system. So I've done a straw poll today, talking to people from Australia, people from Saskatchewan, from Manitoba, from Ontario, and even from Ireland. There's a booth here from Ireland looking for people to come to Ireland to explore. Well, the ways in which individuals and companies can acquire what's called mineral tenure is all over the map in terms of where you go in the world. However, one theme arises. There's an evolution and a change coming where this consultative model seems to be emerging, and it's being pushed by activists and by their Indigenous allies. There's no question, the Indigenous peoples of this world, and Indigenous people are all over the world. I was talking to someone from Sweden. They have Indigenous consultation as well with the Sami people. So it's not unique to Canada that we have to engage and consult with First Nations, and this has been going on in the mining industry for 20 or 30 years, and everyone just understands it's important and we need to engage and include the First Nations people and make sure that they participate in the success. But the balance is shifting away from a kind of collaborative model to a my way or the highway model. The opening ceremonies, an Indigenous elder spoke, and he made some rather incendiary remarks about the President of the United States, calling him a racist and saying that he was, driving hate in the world. Meanwhile, and he was very concerned about the war in Iran. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but this gentleman was very dignified, but he just launched into a political tirade in front of this large crowd. So, notably, there's very few, if any, Indigenous representatives from British Columbia that are on the schedule. So these are the issues we're going to be following. As we know, with the attack on Iran and the war in the Middle East that's unfolding, this could have a dramatic effect on precious metals prices when the market opens tomorrow. It will open overseas later today. I'm coming to you on Sunday. So this is a very dramatic time for the mining industry because metals will be very much in focus. So, my name's David Brett. I'm the editor of the New Westminster Times. I thank you for your time today. If you appreciate what we're doing here, I invite you to support our work. We have a button on our website, newwesttimes.com. Up in the right-hand corner, you can just click support our work. If you would feel so inclined, we'd very much appreciate it. So check back. We'll be doing daily updates from the conference here and covering any other issues that are urgent and trying to get to the bottom of this whole thing with the Musqueam as well. We're going to delve into that and try and chase down some officials that are milling around the conference here. So thanks again for watching.